All right, keep what you earn listeners and YouTube viewers. It is officially 2024, and I'm so excited to welcome you into the new year. Thank you for listening to the show. And I want to set the tone right by going through a core episode here at Keep What You Earn to unpack how you can set yourself up for success in 2024. We all know the tried and true story of New Year's resolutions, how they often end up. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to be able to look back on 2024 with a sense of pride in knowing exactly how far you've come. But in order to do that, you need to be measuring where you're at and you need to be looking at what your goals are in 2024. And I'm not talking about, revenue goals. I'm not talking about this is where I want to be financially, which that's part of it. But what will your life experience look like a year from now? How do you want that to change? What direction you want to be moving in? And what trajectory do you want to set for yourself for the next year? And I'm going to go through about 4 different things you should be doing and you can do right now to put these things on the calendar, whatever it means for you in your task manager. For me, I live and die by Asana. So if this is going in my Asana as a weekly task, you're sure as hell going to know I'm getting it done. So here's what you need to be doing. You need to commit to your priorities. You probably set an intention for the year, even used a word of the year, which a lot of people do. Mine is going to be simplify. And you're probably setting expectations, setting priorities for what the current year is going to bring. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to say no more this year. So if you're going to say no more this year, no to what? What does a no look like? Define it. And if you're going to basically focus more on your goals this year, which I hope you will, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And how does that show up for you? Because, it's one thing to say, I'm going to say no to more things. I'm going to be more careful with my time, perhaps. I feel like that's something we're always struggling and striving for. But what does that actually mean? So what am I going to say no to? Opportunities less than X dollars, opportunities that consume X amount of time that are unpaid, opportunities that aren't intuitive, hell yes. Like, what does that mean? So actually write that down. Actually put pen to paper and put words to what that actually means when you say you're going to commit to your priorities this year, or you'll be, uh, you know, less likely to say yes. Then what does that look like? What does it actually mean for you? And how, and this is number 2, how can you hold yourself accountable this year? How can you hold yourself accountable to what you just said you're going to do? So is it going to be putting it in Asana? Is it going to be putting it on the calendar and sticking with your priorities and your commitments? How are you going to show up for yourself? And how are you going to actually follow through on those obligations and those commitments that you've made? Because I always look at January as a month of making commitments, and the rest of the year is keeping your commitments. We always tend to make these commitments at the beginning of a calendar year and then look back and not even remember what we committed to, not even remember what we were thinking about. And the more we can document now where we're at, the more it's going to make sense how far we've come, but also makes sense where our intentions were all year round, because we want to anchor back to that. This is a great chance to commit to the next year and to sit down and really think about those right decisions for you, for your business, and what they look like. And giving yourself that guidance now with a clear head, independent of any emotional attachment, of what it is you're going to be looking for this year and what you hope to attract. And just as likely, what you want to repel. Now, my third and fourth tip are kind of interrelated. And that is get in the right rooms this year. Please make a note of what rooms you need to get in. In fact, I would encourage you to make it a habit, which I have done this year, and it's been so powerful, is make it a habit. And here's one example of how I do this. Ask for help once a week on something you may not even need help with, and get in the right rooms and get connected to the right people who can support you. Here's an example of how I do that. And this serves me immensely. I actually have a reminder every week on my Asana to go on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn in particular, because there's a lot of people on LinkedIn that are in my industry who are linked to me from a career perspective. And in this particular case, I love meeting new people who could serve as podcast guests, who could serve as guest experts in CFO on demand, who could just be good resources for me as I grow my business. And people who are higher level than me, and they tend to be on LinkedIn. So I go on LinkedIn and I say, I'm looking for help with X. Who do I need to know? Go on social media. For me, it's LinkedIn. But for your social media, post who do I need to know that will help me? Your entire year can be shaped by getting in the right rooms and surrounding yourself with the right circle of influence. And whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever your weaknesses are, whatever it is you're looking to grow in 2024, take the opportunity to go on to whatever platform you choose and simply ask who you need to know, because people love to connect other people. And watch how the cascade of tags happens in the comments. And look how many new friends you're going to meet. And look how many one-on-one connections you're going to book just to get to know these people who know more than you do on a particular subject. And who knows, just simply connecting with them, sharing each other's missions, values, whatever it may be, over a virtual cup of coffee or physical one, could mean the difference between an opportunity and not getting an opportunity later on in the year or in a future year. So cultivate relationships this year. Cultivate real, authentic relationships this year, and with no expectation of the fact that you're going to call on that relationship in the future. I mean, you may, but treat every relationship like you're going to have to ask them a huge favor someday in your life, and pour into them so that there is not even a sense of hesitation that when you call for help, they are there to support you. And as many relationships as you can do that for, the better. So get in the right rooms with people, surround yourself with the right people, get exposed to the right people and the right voices. And that goes along with my last tip, which is to listen to the right circle of influence, not only cultivating relationships that will get you in the right rooms and around the right people, but also to surround yourself with the right influence and the right voice in your head of, ideas, what you're capable of, the yeses, the nos, the questions. And this is the most important aspect of that, is the questions. Who is going to ask you the questions you need to be asked? Who is going to ask you the questions that you need to hear in order to get to your next level? Who is going to ask you the questions that are going to move the needle for you? Who's going to be in that position for you? And that might be a loved one, a family member. It could be a friend. It could be a colleague. Who is that person for you? Do not let them go. Cultivate that relationship. Cultivate that relationship to the point where it's just, you are so, how would I put this? Cultivate that relationship like a garden that is precious. Take care of it and make sure that you've got that person available to ask you those right questions and to have tough conversations with you. Also, be listening to the right, as one of my mentors, Chris Harder, says, listen to the right propaganda and listen to the right influences of the media hitting your brain. Listen to the right people who are telling you what's going on out there. It can vary based on your perspective. Surround yourself with positive propaganda, he always says. Surround yourself with the propaganda of abundance, of what is possible and what opportunities exist out there, not what restrictions exist. Don't surround yourself with victims. Don't you surround yourself with people who issue blame. Surround yourself with people who take accountability for their own actions and are willing to hold you accountable as well. And if you can find even 2 or 3 people that are described by what I just said, you are lucky. You are blessed to have those people in your corner, 100%. So if you can, reevaluate internally, where are your priorities? How can you hold yourself accountable? And then, who do you need to surround yourself with this year to hold you accountable, that you can hold accountable as well? And how can you show up in service of those relationships? I think if you just unpack those questions, you will find immense success in 2024. You will find immense success in 2024 just by thinking about how you can show up in that way.